This is Amy with the Lucky Hound, and today I'm going to show you how to set moonstones into super heavy biothane. Okay, I've already marked where they will go. This will be the center of the stone. And I will be using these with the Little Wonder. I will set them with the 1/2 inch spot setter, and I've already adjusted my template to be in the center of the super heavy biothane, 1 inch. And let's see. I just take one of these 1/2 inch rim settings, and then I move the legs a little out so they get a tight fitting. You want a tight fitting. And the die. Okay. And I just press down slowly. I do it slowly. Then I kind of back it back to make sure it looks good, and then I press it down. And this design is also going to have 3/16 solid brass, nickel over solid brass spots in it. But I will set those after I get all these set, because I've found with biothane, if you space out your design, it won't get wavy. If you set a bunch all in one area at one time, it tends to get wavy. And to make sure I set my stone just right, I go by and mark it each time, the circle, and then I place the stone in the circle. This is a really popular design, and it's done with crystals too. Now, if you do see your biothane get a little wavy, you can loosen up the legs a little and then hammer them back down. It tends to get wavy if it bunches up in an area. It took me lots of practice to not get my biothane wavy when setting crystals and spots and gemstones. But it still happens every once in a while, because some people like a really tight design. So the best way to do a really tight design is to hammer the legs of the rim set down instead of setting them with the die. You can punch them through with the die, and then you can use jewelry pliers to bend them over and a hammer to tap it down smoothly. And see, this is like, and if it starts to wave up a little, like this one's starting to do a little, so I'm gonna have to loosen the legs a little. So if this starts to happen, and sometimes it just happens with certain biothane, I'll mark where the crystal or gem set goes on the biothane, and then I'll just cut a hole. And when I cut these holes, I tend to angle inward. That way you don't see the legs as much if you would cut them straight down. And then I'll just place it in the cut, push it through, and then I'll pull it up a little, and then I'll push the crystal or the moonstone down, and then I'll take my jewelry pliers and I'll push it down on the back of the biothane, the leg through, and then I bend it over. And then later on, I'll go back and I'll tap it with a hammer so it gets really smooth. You don't want it sticking up any, you want it flush with the biothane. That way, hair won't get caught in it. And you can mark a few ahead too. Sometimes I just mark about 3 to 4, only because biothane, the mark that you make with the die will disappear after so long. because the biothane tends to bounce back. It's so strong. So again, I am angling the legs inward just to hide my mark or my cut. And then I'll go back and I'll press these in with my hand. I've found the littler ones don't really bunch up the biothane to make it wavy. But if that does happen, if you put too many in an area at once, you can always go back and loosen up the legs. And once you loosen up the legs and it's kind of like releasing the biothane, then you can hammer them down and they'll be fine. I know the first time, the very first color I did on biothane with crystals, oh, it's been several years back, that it was like wavy when I got done, and I was like, what is going on? But you just play around with it and you kind of find a technique that works for you, and that's the technique I've found that works for me. So it may help you out or it may not. You just might have to find your own technique, but you got to do what works. Okay, I'm gonna mark some more holes. This is for 22 inch size neck. And I always do my cutting on leather, or you could use a mat. I prefer leather because it's a little softer and easier on your knives and whatever you're cutting. Again, angle inward is a trick I found. It works for me. Is that like a little bit already? These ram sets are nickel over solid brass. I prefer to use either solid brass, nickel over solid brass, chrome over solid brass, or stainless steel. Only because when you're working with biothane, it's such a wonderful product, being waterproof, and you want your color to last, and you don't want to use plated metals. You can use plated metals. I'm not saying you can't, but I don't, because I want a high quality color. But if your dog wears a lot of different colors all the time and you just want a color for looks and you don't really care about the plating and rusting off, or then by all means use it. But my preference is not to use it. I use a lot of either solid brass or nickel over solid brass. I use some stainless steel, but stainless steel isn't quite as shiny. And I've found with crystals are so beautiful and shiny, and they reflect the light, that I want a shiny metal to go with it. We're almost done. And then I'll bend the biothane on the back side and finish the legs. And we have all these materials you can find at theluckyhound.com. And if you don't see something on our shop, just send us an email at wolf@theluckyhound.com, and we probably have it in stock. We just haven't got a lot of things listed. Like these Moonstones, I'm not sure even if we have them listed yet. And you'll notice on the back of this, it looks a little dirty from where we've been working with it. But if you just take warm soapy water, it comes right off. That's the wonderful thing about Biothane. And then I'm just pressing down and pushing the legs over. And we also do sell the Little Wonders. If you're interested in one, we don't have them listed on our website, so that's something you'll have to email us about. Okay, now I'm just going to go back and tap. Well, see, my hammer got it dirty, but that will come right off. And I'll just tap it down. Be sure to tap on leather or something that a silicone mat would work. I just use leather because I do leather colors too. And that's another thing. If you're looking for leather straps, they are not listed in our store currently, but they will be listed. But if you need them in the meantime, just let us know. We've got some very high quality ones. Soft. And this one didn't get pushed all the way through. And I tend to use the rounded part because it gets it down in there. So like I'm going to run my hand over it. It's nice and smooth. I don't feel any places where any hair can get caught. And then I go over one more time just to push it down. And if you don't have a Little Wonder, you're just starting out, or you set them by hand, you can use the setter, a crystal setter or gemstone setters. I just love this Little Wonder because it's much easier on your hands. You want to make sure you get these secure too. I don't use glue. Some people use an adhesive before they do the rim setting. I have found that if you get it set nice and tight, you don't have to worry about them falling out. I've never, knock on wood, never had anybody have one fall out because I'm always double checking it before my colors are shipped. Okay, now we're gonna set the 3/16 spot. I know I've also had numerous people ask me how to seal the Biothane. Sealing is not really necessary if you have a clean cut, but I have one of these little blazers that I'll just get it turned on and I lightly go over it to singe the webbing, just to give an extra waterproof unraveling technique, if that's what you want to call it. It works for me. I'm not sure what you all use, but I found that works really well. Okay, now we're going to set our little 3/16. Okay, and the Little Wonder has lots of little dies that you can purchase. They have where you can set 5/16 crystals. Well, 5/16 crystals, I'm referring to SS34s. 1/4 the SS20s, and I use the 1/4 spot setter. They don't have a 1/4 crystal setter, but I've found I can set them really well with a 1/4 after practice. And basically all you need to do is with the 1/4 you just bend your little legs out a little until you get a tight fit, and you slowly press it down, and bam, it works perfect. But it does take practice. It took me a lot of practice. Okay, I did not mark where these go for this design, but they're going in the center, and I can pretty well eye it to make sure. And then when I get all done, I'll go on and make sure, because these, if you notice, some of them are still a little loose. I will go back over them with the die and set them even better. But I want to go ahead and set the spots. That way I can get everything set, and then I can just go back and tap it with the hammer. I'm trying to see how my design's gonna look, making sure it's where I want it. Yeah, and I think that looks good. Okay, we've got that tight, and this is the 3/16 spot setter. And you just press down, and it sets it nicely. And like I said, I just eye this to get it evenly. You can mark it. And when I say mark it, I use what is called a leather marker, because it wipes right off. And if I'm doing a design that's real intricate, I'll use my cameo cutter, and I'll cut it out with vinyl, and then I'll put it on as a guide. And that brings up another thing too. If you have a cameo or any kind of cutter, you can actually cut heat transfer vinyl, and it will actually stick really well with Biothane. With a heat press, you just follow the instructions on the, I use a lot of Sizer HTV. I think that's how you say it. I may be saying it wrong. And when you use the instructions and you set it, and that takes practice too, so don't think you might be able to do it right off, but it took me practice. But it's kind of neat, because when you heat press it into the Biothane, it kind of like makes it become one with the Biothane, and it's not, you can't scratch it off. It won't come off, which is kind of really nice. But you also got to be careful that you don't press it too hard, like set the press too much tension on it, because it can melt the Biothane, and you got to really watch the temperature too. But if you follow the instructions on the heat transfer you're using, then you shouldn't have any problems. See how this is kind of slightly bending upward? When I do the bottom, it'll correct itself. And if it doesn't correct itself, then you can just loosen the legs and then tap them back over. Because I think it has something to do with the setter and how the legs curl under. That causes tension on the biothane and cause it to pucker and gather. And like I said, it doesn't always do it. I mean, I've been doing it for several years, and I can do plenty without, and I think I just, yeah, plenty without, and every once in a while it just happens. I've learned, like I shared earlier in the video, the tricks that I've learned that help me avoid that. Which, if it's a look you're going for, some people might be going for that look. I know with leather, it's really pretty when it starts, you get the spots really close, and it creates like a really pretty finish, like a kind of a wavy on the sides, kind of maybe scalloped, and I think that's really pretty. Looking to make sure it's pretty close. And you can also kind of like bend it a little this way, but I'm not going to do that yet because it should, like I said, it should correct itself. Let's hope it does. And then I'll take off my glasses. That way I can see close up to make sure I line it up. And if you really want to make sure you get it lined up, like I said, you can mark it. Or unless you've been doing it for a while, then you can just kind of eye it. And then, like, I'm going to just put a slight mark here. And then you can look at your mark and see. Because I like mine to be fairly even. See, it's already starting to correct itself. And I'll go back over these after I get them all set. I'm just marking these again. Make sure they line up perfect. See, it's already starting to get straight now. Just gonna go ahead and mark them all. And then I kind of just look at them to make sure they're where they're supposed to be. I'm almost done, just a few more. Okay, see how it corrected itself? Not beautiful? I love the moonstone. It just reflects all different kind of colors in it. Purples, blues. It's kind of, it's like an AB moonstone. Thank you for watching. We'll have more videos posted soon. And don't forget to check out theluckyhound.com.